Things Woman, where we discuss femininity, womanhood, and I give you overall life advice. So if any of that interests you, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I'm just going to be doing a little chat. I figured I'd go live. It's Saturday. I have a lot to say. Just want to get more interactive and get to know the community and talk about some womanhood, femininity, girlhood topics, womanhood topics. But when I say girlhood, we are more in our femininity, more in our soft era, more in our gentleness. So I like to talk in regards to things about that. Just being that softer, gentle woman, being the woman that knows how to relax, being the kind of woman that, society doesn't really want her to be. So, among other things. On my live chats, I talk about all things woman. I talk about life in general. Anything that applies to a woman, anything that I think women identify with, that's what I'll be discussing. Let me tell you how. If I gave my shift away today, why would they call me to ask if I could come in? That just doesn't make sense to me. Sometimes I think as women, our jobs really get in the way of our femininity. Our jobs get in the way of us being more softer, gentle women. I think if we didn't have to deal with half of the things that we choose a lot of times to deal with out in the world, we would be much better off as women. If you agree, hit the like button when you watch this. If you're watching it now, hit the like button, send a super chat, a thanks. But if you agree with this, show me that you agree. Because I really do, and I'm starting to believe, and I've been believing for a while, that sometimes we just choose hard. Sometimes we choose to subject ourselves to things that are hindering us from really being the type of women that we could be. Going out to work for somebody, that's the quick answer. That's the quick solution to get money or to, have the kind of life that you think you want at the time. But I'm really starting to believe that working for other people, that will put you in your masculine more than anything. And I know some people might think, well, it's unrealistic to say that, you shouldn't work for somebody or whatever. But honestly, I think of a lot more women just got creative and really had time to think. And that's another thing. For women, we don't really have a lot of times to think sometimes, especially when you're not really connected to your femininity. You haven't been allotted the opportunity to rest. You'll let people pull you all over the place before you actually decide to say, stop, I'm not doing that, or even think about what you want to do. So as women, I really do think our jobs harden us a lot of times. I think the things that we choose to subject ourselves to harden us. Can you think, when you're in the house, you're going about your day, you're running your errands, you're doing what you're doing, you're just so free flowy. But the moment, hey, but the moment you get to work, it's like going to work brings the worst side out of you. It brings just, it really takes away your femininity. Nothing can take away your femininity, but when you get to work, it's something about being a woman in the workforce that automatically hardens you. If you understand what I'm saying, I hope you do. Just hit the like button or a heart or put the high heel emoji. But I really think for women, what we really have going against us in our femininity is the fact that many of us either have to or are choosing to go into the workforce. And while I'm not saying women should not work, I'm just saying we really have to choose our hard, choose how we decide to work. What? Arthur Morgan. Okay, so I'm assuming Arthur is a man. And Arthur, you must ask yourself, why are you here? This is called All Things Woman. So why are you here? You really have to think about it. I'm doing great. How are you doing? I do not want to mess up your name, so if you don't mind, I'm going to say Pretty Girl Ortega. I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to mess up your first name unless you want to put how to pronounce it in the description. But I'm going to say Pretty Girl Ortega if that's okay with you. But I'm doing fine. I'm doing well. I gave my Saturday shift away and I'm doing great. And if you're just coming on, I'm talking about how sometimes we allow our jobs to cause us to be masculine, cause us to be a little bit more hard. Sometimes the things we choose to partake in makes us hard as women. And I've known that for a while. And yet, even sometimes I still choose the hard way. And I think it's because it takes a lot of unlearning things as a woman in order to grow. And the older you get, and I can say for myself, when I got into my 30s, when I got maybe about 31, 32, that's when I start waking up to the fact that a lot of how I was being, it's not normal to be constantly exhausted. It's not normal to let people drain you. And our jobs, I don't care what nobody say. I understand you have to work in some sort of way to take care of yourself, but under no circumstances do you have to let your jobs drain you and deplete you of your energy. If you're always exhausted, irritated, frustrated, there's no way that you're going to be able to stay in your femininity. And while femininity, being in your feminine, that's the core essence of who you are as a woman, if you allow your job to pull you every which of way, to mentally and physically exhaust you, you're not going to be really focused on being that free flowy kind of way and just carrying yourself in a light type of energy. You're going to be like, I'm just trying to get this day done. I need to get out of here. What do you want? Next guest, next customer, next. And next thing you know, you're arguing with your employees or your coworkers, and you're having spats with them. And now you got to go in there and you got to have this rough exterior because you got to know I'm not to be played with. Like, it's like, who wants to be that way? It's like, if you are a feminine woman, sometimes you have to dip back into your old masculine way of being in order to just survive your work environment. And who wants to do that? And that's where choice comes in. I wholeheartedly believe, and I told my daughter this morning, because I got that call. If you're just coming on, I got a text from one of my managers saying, hey, would you mind coming in for a PM shift tonight? I gave away my PM shift to a coworker because I didn't feel like being there today. And she wanted overtime, so I gladly gave it to her. But yet they text me to ask if I could come in tonight. That just triggered me. I'm like, okay, first of all, y'all don't see the paperwork. Second of all, that just reminded me of how important it is for me to continue to work on my own business, to work on my own passions, and to always make sure that I have more than one stream of income. I have two streams of income. I have my husband's income and I have my job. But my business, which is doing all right and everything and all this stuff, I tell you this to say that as women, you should never have your entire life, your money, in the hands of somebody else. Even if you work, that employment is not stable. I don't care if you've been there for 20 years, it's not stable. And you should always have something. And when you talk about control, ladies, this is the one thing you want to have control over: your money and your time. That's absolutely what you want to have control over. Because if you give somebody else complete control over your time and your money, they own you. Period. They own you. And I realized that earlier in my 30s, later in my 20s. And that's when I started my Etsy shop. And then for a little while, I was actually doing hair too. Yes, I was doing hair. I know how to braid. I was doing that. And I have my Etsy shop. And I have this wonderful YouTube channel, and I have an Amazon store, and I have some other stuff. I'm doing a little bit of everything. And these things that I'm naming, they're not like work for me other than the job, because it's something I love to do. I like creating beautiful pieces. I like talking and encouraging other people to be the best versions of themselves. I like using my experiences to help other people to kind of avoid some of the things that I went through, or give them experience in what I'm going through now, such as womanhood, marriage. That stuff is not work for me. But having to put on and deal with condescending attitudes, deal with people that just, they treat you like you're not a person. Because let's be real, when you're in the workforce, especially depending on the environment you're working in, some of these people, customers, guests, members, whatever you want to call them, they treat you like you're next to nothing. And you, no matter how feminine you are, no matter how dainty you are, you're still a person. And when you're faced with that kind of opposition, that kind of triggering, especially if most of your life you grew up in an environment dealing with nasty attitudes and all this different kind of stuff, when you're in the workforce dealing with that, you're about ready to quit every day of your life. And I'll say that where I work now, it's so much better compared to where I used to be. Where I used to work in a retail environment. Now I work in a more glamorous type of environment. But people are still people. And when you are in the position of having to serve other people, it can get draining. So I just give you all that story to say, as women, don't ever have your eggs in one basket. Have control over your money and your time as much as possible. I say I work for freedom, not money. I work for freedom. And while I can be home, while I can, for a long time, I was a stay-at-home mother. But me being how I am, I need that interaction with other adults. I need to be, doing my thing. But what I don't need, and this is where the leaning into your femininity comes in, you now realize you can do all of these things with less aggravation. You don't have to do things the hard way, the struggle way. I think if women had time to just sit and think and be with their thoughts, we could really be the type of women we aspire to be. But if you don't set boundaries in place with people and you don't have a standard for how you want to live your life, you'll just let people run you ragged. And as women, feminine women, we just really cannot allow that. So you have to decide how you want to move and how you want to live in the world, and don't be apologetic for it. And don't let anybody judge you to the point or make you feel guilty to the point that you're choosing something that is not hard. Let me read through some of your comments. Her husband money is hers, but she'll never pay real bills for her husband. So, what's your point? First of all, I don't know how you can make a statement like that not knowing me, but I'll tell you, a more masculine man doesn't want his woman to be paying his bills. What man that's a man wants his woman to pay bills? You tell me, other than somebody who is full of dust. Welcome to the real world. Nobody gives up about a stranger. God bless you. I asked the question, if you look back a little to my last two comments. I'm sorry, I didn't see the question. Helping her, but the moment he say no, she'll leave. Sweetheart, I have been married for 18 going on 19 years. This channel is not the average channel. This person you're talking to, I'm not the average woman. That little stuff, that won't work with me, baby, but try again. Nah, she definitely toxic. Damn, hyena looking like a snack this morning. Well, thank you for that backhanded compliment. I appreciate you. I bet she smack when she eat. No, I do not. Guarantee she have cheated on her husband before. No, I have not. To not leave another generation of broken women coming up. Absolutely. Since women are the only ones that change, when are y'all going to start a change? Better Women Coalition. That's a good idea. Better Women's Coalition. Making a living makes a woman more masculine. So, that comment, making a living makes a woman more masculine. You have to listen for understanding and listen, have comprehension skills. A woman earning a living is not masculine. It's how you choose to earn a living that will either make you more masculine or allow you to be less stressed and still able to function as a woman. A lot of women are choosing to be in career fields where they're having strokes early, they are having mental issues as far as anxiety and depression. They are, having to go on leaves of absence because they are suffering from mental illnesses. So common sense would tell you all that a woman earning a living is not masculine, but depending on how you're choosing to do it. I've given this story before, but I'll say it again. When I was working earlier on, I grabbed at any opportunity that came my way. I have done jobs where I worked in retail. I've done telemarketing. I have been, I've unloaded delivery trucks. I have, stocked shelves, doing all those kind of things. My last straw was when I worked at a job where I was having to put up meat, raw meat. And when I felt that raw meat juice, that blood run down my hands, I said, nope, I'm done. I don't need to be doing this. Look, I said it straight up like this. I said, I'm too good for this. I'm not doing this. I'm a woman. I don't need to do this. And when I come home and I tell my husband about it, and he tells me, nobody told you, because as men, that's you all's favorite line, nobody told you. So he said, nobody told you. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. Nobody did tell me that I have to do this. And I sat out of work for a good year because I decided, and I wasn't doing that kind of job because I had to, but I grew up, and this is for women. And this is the importance of us really taking time to heal, taking time to give our cares to God, asking God to help us, to renew us, to get over our past. Because I grew up in an environment where it was very unstable, where I was working from the time I was 15 years old. I started working at 15 because it was unstable. I always had a fear of not having enough, not having my own. If I had to go to anybody for anything, that's something that I absolutely would not do, because I've seen in my life in the past what my mother went through, what my aunts went through, the way it was, and I refused to let that be me. So I had the mentality that I will work doing anything I have to do minus illegal in order to not have to ask anybody for anything. When you have that kind of mentality, you don't really have a standard for what you will do. You just grab at anything. So when a woman has that kind of mentality and she's not really connected to her femininity, connected to herself as a woman, but she's just kind of like a robot, just doing whatever, she will grab at things that are no good for her. She will grab at people who are no good for her. So for a long time, I was doing the type of jobs that put wear and tear on my back and mentally exhausted me. So to answer the question, making a living, common sense, is not masculine. If you're a single woman, or even if you're a married woman like myself, and you choose to work outside the home, that is your right. But it's how you choose to work. And that's what women have missed for so many years. That's what I missed for so many years. I didn't really understand that as a woman, God has given me so many gifts and talents and abilities, and just the overall character of a feminine woman, we are able to create without having to bust out our back, bust out our legs, and wear down our mind. And if you don't understand that, it's because you have not yet connected to your femininity. It's because you have not yet understood that doing things the hard way is not your only option. And I understand that for many of us, and I'm a black woman, so I speak to us a lot of times. I'm talking to all women, but for black women, we have especially been conditioned to think that the only way we can survive is if we do everything the hard way. And I'm not into that anymore. I don't subscribe to that way of thinking. I see what doing things the hard way all the time can do to your body, do to your mind. And if there's an easier way for me to do something, to obtain something, I'm absolutely going to do that. So no, working is not a masculine thing to do. Men and women both can work, but how do you work? I leave the hard labor to my husband. I don't want him to break down his body either, but his body was created to withstand a lot more than what I can. He can physically do a lot more things than what I can do, and even mentally. And I know this can vary depending on man because it depends on his mindset. If he knows God, if he has that foundation where his mind is not easily persuaded to just do whatever. But men, physically and mentally, are programmed, not programmed, but designed by God to handle a lot more than what women can. And the moment women stop comparing themselves to men and stop coddling men and let them be men and relax and take a load off, you will understand that you have options. And I'm not saying that as judgment because I used to be like that too. I used to be the kind of woman that, I felt like I had to coddle my man all the time. Like I had to make sure I don't need him doing all of that. He doesn't need to do all of that. Why not? And I'm not saying anything harmful. I encourage my husband to rest all the time. I encourage him to rest. I encourage him to eat right. I encourage him to go to sleep, even though he fights against going to sleep. I don't know why. But men are different from women. And when women and men alike truly understand that, we won't have this spirit of confusion lurking around where women are so much wanting to coddle men and constantly comparing. Nobody said that working is a masculine thing to do. It's how you choose to work. Let me look through some more of your comments. You make nothing here to answer. Nothing here to answer. You said making a living can possibly make a woman more masculine. How? Making a living, again, not making a living can make a woman more masculine. I don't think I've said the term making a living since I've started this live. But working outside the home can absolutely make a woman more masculine, once again, depending on the type of work she's deciding to do. And if you look throughout social media, you look on TikTok, it's this viral video going around of this lady talking about how she was the more masculine one in her relationship and family for her entire marriage. That when her kids had issues, when they had obstacles and problems with people, I think she gave the story of when her son was having an issue with a person, and instead of going to dad for them to go see what it's about, he walked right past dad and went to her and told her that, I think it was like a physical altercation, like somebody wanted to fight her son or something. And the son didn't go to dad, he went right to the mom. That right there shows you the posture in which a woman can be in when she's also dealing with a feminine man who doesn't know how to step up and do what he's supposed to do as a man, who doesn't know his role as a man. The fact that she dealt with that, I think she said 20 years she was married, and she was like that the entire time. The one, if things need to be fixed around the house or she worked on projects, nobody would come to help her. They're just like, she got it. That's crazy. So once again, it's not a woman working, and this is the last time I'm going to say this because comprehension has to kick in at some point. Women working outside of the home, women doing things, fixing things, accomplishing things, those things are not masculine. It's how she decides to do those things. What about us men? There are many channels on YouTube devoted to men. Go find those, but this is not about you right now. This is about us. And ladies, I need you all to understand too. You don't have to keep coming to the rescue of men. We love men on this side. I've been married for going on 19 years, as I've said. We love men. But this is about us and how we need to be and think as women and lean into our femininity. And a lot of that is taking off the mothering mindset that we have over our men. Why do you think so many men come into the comments of women's channels? Because they're so accustomed to depending on us for something. Like they should really, it's a Saturday afternoon. They should be out and about fixing something, running errands, maybe talking to a friend, playing golf, doing something other than on a women's YouTube channel. But yet here they are. Ladies, this is the reason why you must be connected to your femininity and relinquish the control. Just give it away. Let them be so that they know how to function without us sometimes. And it's not without us in our relationships. It's take off the mothering cap with men. This is all feminist prattle, by the way. Hello. Hey, Barry, how are you? Working outside the home. Peter said to them, repent and be baptized. I agree. Turn to Islam, ladies. So nothing constructive in the comments. But yes, ladies. Ladies, we just really have to lean into our femininity, because otherwise you will let people deplete you. And people are not accustomed to women actually speaking up and saying they're tired. Because God forbid, once again, because women have been those providers, protectors, the strong ones. You know, when you listen to anyone talk about how it was back in the, 60s and 70s and 80s, women were, my mother, or not during that time. Let's fast forward to the 90s and the 80s. Mom is working 2 and 3 jobs. Mom is going to school. She's doing all of this on her own. And people have glorified that. And once again, it's the conditioning of making women feel like if they're not doing 15 things all at the same time, they're of no value. If a woman is starting to focus on her self-care, her self-love, her well-being, she's of no value. Sorry, I just had to get rid of a troll for a moment. But as I was saying, when people see women attempting to rest, and this is our part, as a woman, you have to get people comfortable with seeing you rest and saying what you do and what you don't like. Stop being uncomfortable to make other people feel comfortable. As women, a lot of what we've been conditioned to do, again, we like to make people feel comfortable, sometimes to our own detriment, because we don't like confrontation, or we don't want anybody to feel uneasy. And yes, while we are in our femininity, we are nurturing, we are loving, we are kind, but we do not allow people, and that's where that feminine queen type of way of being comes in, where you can still be assertive. And this is what you see with a lot of the performative femininity, the naive femininity. You see women that come on and they're just talking about how to look like a girly girl. It's more aesthetic, but they're not really talking about the mindset of a feminine woman. Just because you have class, you really have true decorum, which means you know time and place, you know how to treat people, you're not mean-spirited. So the essence of femininity is how you carry yourself as a woman. It's not even so much about how you look, because a woman can be highly feminine wearing jeans and a t-shirt. Do I suggest for a woman to wear jeans and t-shirts all the time? Absolutely not. I wear t-shirts sometimes. I do. But the feminine aesthetic is important, but it's not so much about what you wear as much as it is about who you are as a woman. And that's where a lot of women are missing it. How do you carry yourself as a woman? Are you kind? Do you know how to treat people? Women who say they're feminine, but they're rude and nasty to other people, that's not femininity. You're putting on a performance. You look nice, you look feminine, but if you are mean-spirited, if you're unforgiving, if you don't have love toward other people, if you don't have compassion, that is not femininity. That is not femininity. When a woman doesn't have the capacity to really understand how somebody else feels, and she only wants her way. Now, I say this in the way where As women, yes, we focus on ourselves, but we're not stepping over anybody we can step over in order to obtain what. No, we're not that. We're not savages. We're not banshees. We don't do stuff like that. We very much care about other people, and we know how to treat other people. But the difference between a feminine woman and a more masculine woman, we still have respect. Even if we disagree with you, we will let you speak, we will let you talk, we will hear you out, and still do whatever we decide to do anyway. That's because of that class and decorum. But when a woman doesn't have class and decorum about herself, she got a neck pop and head bop, and she got to have an argument and make a big show of herself. Feminine women do not carry themselves that way. I'm not saying you will never have moments where you just, especially if you're a mother, when it comes to motherhood and your children, it's like none of that stuff matters. Class, decorum, none of that stuff matters. But when you truly are in a situation where you have to, let's say, defend yourself or whatever, our first go-to is not neck popping and head bopping. We will just remove ourselves. Like, as feminine women, we truly understand time and place. We're able to smile and be kind and warm and gentle. We want other people to feel comfortable, but we're not going to dumb ourselves down in order for people to feel comfortable. As feminine women, we have a way of creating an environment of warmth because of how we are. And when you learn how to carry yourself in a more warm and gentle way, you're able to build relationships, because people gravitate to women who are friendly, who are kind, who are soft, who know how to have a conversation without being constantly offended, who know how to, understand what somebody else is going through. Even if they've never been through it, they at least attempt to show compassion. Now, a woman who is a savage, she doesn't care about anybody. She doesn't care about this. She doesn't care about that. Men are only good for one thing. We don't have that kind of mindset. And I know online people are so accustomed to many femininity channels talking about, femininity is about only getting money from men and all this stuff. That's not femininity. That's a whole different area that feminine women really can't identify with, because one other thing that a feminine woman will never do, she's not going to sacrifice genuine relationship and love for the sake of money only. While a man must be able to provide and protect his family, a feminine woman wants that genuine connection to a man, to her man. And she's not willing to go after somebody or be with somebody that she's not physically attracted to. Because I don't care what anybody tells you, physical attraction is important in a marriage, in a relationship. Why would you want to be with somebody you don't even want them to touch you? Yet by looking to your creative side lets us know you don't even believe what you're saying. Body language and energy never lies. Leticia, your name is pronounced the way somebody else's. Body language and all that. Once again, you can think what you want to think. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. And I understand the reason why you would say body language and all, because again, when it comes to femininity, we have so many of these femininity content channels, and I'm not knocking them because I watch a lot of them. I like a lot of them. But we have this performative femininity where it's more so about an act, a show. You're putting on a show. You're being this free flowy and you're constantly moving like this. Nobody moves like that in their everyday life. Nobody just carries themselves like that in their everyday life. Nobody's just constantly talking like this. But when you truly understand the core essence of womanhood and understand that it's more so about who you are as a woman, about how you carry yourself as a woman, and I'm not talking about etiquette, because when you say body language and energy, you're talking about etiquette. I'm talking about the core essence of who you are as a person. A woman can put her elbows on the table, which is what you're not supposed to do when you're eating. A woman, yes, she can even, be kind of, she talks more authoritative because she's passionate about what she's saying. But when she speaks to you and she smiles at you and she listens to you and she understands and she's welcoming to you, it's deeper than that. And I think as women, if we followed what's real and stop getting so, we're so appealing. You know, everything that's fake is very appealing to us. We don't really recognize real when we see it. And I'm not saying if a woman does always move in this whimsical kind of way that she's fake, but when you are a woman that's only accustomed to performative femininity, being like a show, you know, you have to constantly be done up in order to be a feminine woman, that's just a show. Even if a woman lets something slip, you know, she cussed by accident, that doesn't make her any less feminine. That makes her human. So I think if we really take the time to study and understand what true femininity is, and I do not condone cursing because I do not curse at one point, and again, it's all about reprogramming. I came up in a household where cursing was a second language. And once in a while, yeah, I slip, absolutely. Performative femininity is not what we do as women. Twerking is a disgrace of good. I agree. Twerking, I don't believe in twerking or doing none of that kind of stuff because it's not womanly, it's not feminine. But if you think you're going to be walking around like a unicorn floating around, spraying glitter dust around, Leticia, you're mistaken. So you say body language, you say energy. I understand where you're coming from because if you watch a lot of YouTube where you see a lot of, you know, optics and visuals and, you know, a lot of these get ready with me hauls when they're not getting ready to go anywhere, you believe that that is the true essence of femininity. And if you don't take time to really listen for understanding, if you don't take time to do the inner work, some people call it the shadow work, you will think that a woman actually expressing herself with passion, with assertiveness, you will see that as not being feminine. I absolutely understand why you would see it that way. Because technically, according to performance femininity, I shouldn't be talking this way. I should be more like, welcome to the channel, everybody. My name is Levon, and this is what we're doing today. I'm not an actor, sweetheart. I'm not an actor. I am a woman who knows who she is, and I understand class, decorum, how to treat people. I've never had a problem with men or anything else regarding the masculine and the feminine. So I am here sharing what I've been through, sharing the experiences, and helping you to develop the mindset that is going to get you outside of just the aesthetic of femininity and actually being that feminine woman. So this channel is for the woman that's not superficial. If you are more of a superficial type of woman, you just want tips and tricks and strategies on how to get a man or how to be this way or how to, you know, just be a certain kind of way for a moment, this channel is not for that type of woman. This channel is for the woman who wants to be transformed from the inside out. Let me sip a little water. This channel is for the woman who wants to be transformed from the inside out. This is not for the woman who wants to just, okay, what kind of hairstyle can I wear to look feminine? What kind of dresses can I wear to look like? This channel is not for that type of woman. This channel is for the woman who wants to go deeper. In my country, you'll be in prison for being a thought. Well, so much for your country. Hide user. Eventually, ladies, I'm going to be looking for a moderator for this channel. As this channel grows, I'm going to be looking for a moderator. And I already have one person in the running to be my moderator if she accepts. Because from the very beginning, I started this channel 11 months ago. And this person has been consistently commenting on my videos, liking the videos, and I believe even sharing the videos. And she's in the membership. Ladies, if you're not in the membership, I don't know why you're here. You should be in the membership. So I appreciate you. I hope you know who you are. And I will be reaching out to you sooner rather than later to be a moderator on this channel. But yes, ladies, back to the topic at hand. Leaning into your femininity and not allowing people to exhaust you and drain you. And ladies, when I talk about the feminine queen energy, I'm talking about having that mentally strong mindset so that when you come up against people who are going to try to make you feel some kind of way, trying to say that, oh, well, how can you be a feminine woman? You're not this. Or, so I can't work. The spirit of confusion, for me, and I'm not trying to press this on anybody, but when you have a relationship with God and you are assured of who you are, nobody can really tell you much of anything in regards to your womanhood and your femininity. And when you know that you have a desire to change in different areas of your life, you're not going to seek after something or someone that is shallow. And a lot of what you see online and throughout the world is a lot of fakeness, a lot of shallowness, a lot of women who want to be and look like something they are not. And if a woman or anybody else tries to tell you that being feminine is being something that you are not, they are confused and you need to disregard it as a woman. And don't feel bad, because there's many women who don't have a soft voice. You don't speak soft, you don't speak mousy, you don't you are smart, you're not ditzy, you're still able to read between the lines and understand things. Just because you are a woman who has a strong mind and you're able to express your emotions in a way that people cannot get over on you, that doesn't mean that you're less feminine. That means you are a divine, wise woman. And if you have a relationship with God, you will have wisdom. You should have wisdom as a woman. And once again, since we're talking about the superficial femininity and real femininity, superficial femininity tells you that you should just be trusting of everybody, let your guard down, just flow. Don't worry or think about anything. Just run off into the roadway and everything is fine. That's superficial femininity, telling you not to use your common sense. But when you have divine femininity, as in wisdom from God, you know how to protect your inner peace. You know how to protect your heart. You protect your mind. And you understand who and what to let into your mind, to let into your home, to let into your spirit. You will not be the type of woman who lays down with any and everything. And since we really want to talk about femininity and womanhood, you have a standard for who you choose to lay down with. The 2 and 3 and 4 baby daddy thing, feminine women don't do that. Let's go deep, because we're going to go deep here. True femininity is understanding that you are worthy of the time and attention of one man. If you are glorifying sleeping with different men every night, having 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 different baby daddies, there's nothing feminine about that. When a woman chooses to be a single mother, she chooses, I'm not saying things don't happen, but when she chooses that I don't want him, just good enough to have a good time, that's not femininity. See, feminine women have standards. They have standards of excellence. They choose men based on, do they know God? Do they love themselves? Because if a man loves himself, he will love you. And does he understand the basic principle of providing and protecting his family? Let's talk about real femininity. Because a feminine woman, a divine feminine woman, she understands these things. A true feminine woman understands that other women are not her enemies. While she reads a room and she can understand and realize when a woman is jealous and envious, because again, that is a part of the divine feminine. A woman is able to read people and understand when somebody is not on her side. She can be speaking to a woman and she can pick up on the energy that, oh, she's a hater. She's a hater. She's jealous. The way she comes off, the way she's treating me, she changes up when she's around other people. Yeah, that's not somebody I want to keep in close proximity to myself. Let's talk about real divine feminine women stuff. Real femininity. She doesn't accept less than what she deserves as a woman. She's not willing to be anybody's side chick. She's not waiting around for a man to finish up with his family so that he'll come join her and make a happy life with her. True feminine women have more common sense than that. Divine feminine women have more common sense than that. Let's talk about it. Real femininity. And this could be a woman that understands that, you know, people make mistakes, people live life, but as for her life and how she chooses to conduct herself, she doesn't care if it comes off as, oh, you're trying to be bougie, oh, you think you're better. she has a standard for how she lives her life as a woman. And she does not allow anybody to just come on up inside of her. She doesn't allow anybody to run through her like she's a train station. Let's talk about real femininity. Thank you, Keldrick. Thank you. My ex needs to hear this. She left me for another guy last month and already pregnant, but killed. See? And you know, the way women are being taught now, because look at the examples, look at the role models. And nobody in this world should really be your role model unless you have a parent, you know. But you can only really look to God for your example of how to be a man, how to be a woman, how to conduct yourself as a woman. Because truly, and this is a little bit of a preachy moment, the world's wisdom is truly shallow. If you look at the examples of what we have around, and I don't really follow pop culture, but this has been out there so much so, I don't know what happened, but people talk about Remy Ma and Papoose and all this stuff. From what I've heard, they were married for a very long time. They seem to be the average nice family. And she decided he was boring and she stepped out, much like Tia Mowry, you know. And I think with Tia Mowry, it was a little bit different because her husband, or her ex-husband, Corey Hardrick, he was an actor, but not at her level. So I think their situation was a little different. I think it came down to money and what woman would want to be the primary breadwinner for a long period of time, if that was the case. Again, this is all speculation on my part. I really don't know. And I'm only saying this to say that women today are being conditioned and programmed into believing that the baddie culture, the BBL culture, the trying to be a bad whatever culture, like that's the way to be as a woman. For goodness sake, I saw a clip this morning, a video of a woman leaving a BBL clinic. She got to lay down on her stomach in the car. And I thought this might have been a single woman. You know, hey, she's single. She's trying to do all these different augmentations to make herself look more appealing to men because she's single. I thought maybe it was that. So whatever. I'm not for or against plastic surgery. You do what makes you feel good. But I don't like the BBLs. It's dangerous and it's just unappealing and unattractive to me. But as I was saying, this woman went to get a BBL. I thought maybe she was a single woman. She got in the car. There's like 4 kids in the back seat. Her husband is on the passenger side, is in the driver's seat, about to take her home. I'm like, you're a married woman with 4 kids and a husband. Why are you doing this to yourself? I almost guarantee you and assure you that her husband didn't want her or need her to get that BBL for him to love her and to think that she was beautiful. But she allowed the culture to influence her into getting the baddie body. She got to get the BBL. That doesn't make sense to me. If you are an, let me rebut this because I'm very perceptive. I can just kind of foresee what the argument will be from other people. Just because you're married and have kids doesn't mean that you can't work on yourself for yourself. But doing something as drastic as getting a BBL, which means you're increasing your booty, your butt. You want it to be bigger. You want more attention to your backside. Why do you need that if you are a married woman? Make it make sense to me. I don't understand. Why subject yourself to that level of pain and aggravation and the money you probably spent for that, you know, plastic surgery? Why do that to yourself, especially if you're in a committed relationship with a man who's seen you in all different stages? If you have 3 and 4 kids, you've been in all different stages. Why put yourself through this? That's just my question, you know? She got the BBL to get attention and validation from other men, knowing she have a man, but will get mad if he says something about it. And this is where that strong masculine presence, and I'm not saying that her husband is probably not masculine, because a lot of women who are more masculine, who have that control over their men in a way, she probably browbeat him so much and talked so much about getting this. She probably fought him so hard where men sometimes they'll just surrender and say, hey, you know what? Do what you want to do. A lot of women are like that. I understand. Sometimes women, we just want what we want and we just keep talking and talking. And sometimes y'all will just throw your hands up and say, hey, do what you want to do. And I have an idea that's probably how it went in her relationship, or the man Maybe he just already, he's given up authority in his household and just let her do what she want to do anyway. It's something about having a man that's willing to like speak up and speak up against, even when he knows you are adamant about doing something, but he really knows and feels in his heart what's best for you, and he's willing to still have that argument with you, that conflict with you for the greater good. Because yes, just like men can be stubborn, women can be very stubborn too. And who's to say? She probably fought him in the situation. He probably didn't want her to get it, but she was, I want to get it, I'm going to get it. Men, sometimes we need y'all to talk us off the ledge. Sometimes we need you all to have that fight, especially when it's something that you think is best for us. But who knows? Maybe, he wanted her to do it. We don't know. But my thing is just why? Why? I never thought, and I've never been the woman that had, the bigger backside. I just never been that woman. I don't. I have hips, but I don't have the bigger backside. But I'm not going under anybody's plastic surgery or going into anybody's bootleg basement, letting you inject me with old inner tubes and putty and different things in order for me to get a bigger backside. It's just not happening. So, and I say all this to say I'm answering your question, Keldrick, but I'm also saying that women, the standard, like we worry about the wrong things. As women, sometimes we worry about the wrong things. We're trying to portray ourselves as these baddies, trying to, we want the aesthetic, look in certain ways, blending in with other women. The beautiful thing about being a woman who is in touch with her femininity and just loving herself, period, is that you don't feel like you need to go along with every single trend there is. That you have to really, just go along to get along, to blend in with other women. There's something beautiful about standing out as a woman. How do you feel about church women versus women who isn't religious? Well, I think that number one, you can't just be a church woman. You must have a relationship with Jesus. That's just how I see it. You have to have a relationship with God. Anybody can say they go to church. Anybody can be churchy. Some people believe that in order to show yourself as a true woman of God, you have to be, wearing potato sacks and don't care about beauty and look like you are, homely, and you can't have any kind of feminine or beauty about yourself. You can't be sexy. You can't be attractive. You have to just look like you're very hobo-ish in order to be a so-called godly woman. But in order to really be a godly woman, you must have a relationship with God and understand the standard that he has for your life. And what you see today, you have a lot of women who, even if they are so-called churchy or religious, they're not feminine. They truly don't understand. Look, I'll tell you, I know, and I don't want to put people's business and stuff like that, but I have heard of many cases of people who know the Lord, who know the scripture, and the woman is the one providing and protecting the home while the man is out there doing ministry. Your first ministry is at home. Take care of your family. If you are not in a position where you're able to take care of your family as a man, you shouldn't even be trying to preach or teach nobody right now. God said man works at the sweat of his brow. Your wife should not be working 2 and 3, 4 jobs while you out there working for the Lord. No, go work to pay the bills and make sure your family is set first. And I know that's away from your question, but that's how I feel about that, because there's this standard where people, if they really went according to scripture, a lot of the households wouldn't look the way they look. Women are out here, taking care of their men, and these supposed to be Christian households. Like, how is that? But your original question, how do you feel about church women versus women who isn't religious? I think that when you know God, you have a standard and you have a boundary. Whereas if you don't know God, you can kind of easily be swayed by the culture and by influence, worldly influence. You will grab at things that'll knock you off of your foundation the moment things happen. But when you have a relationship with God, you're still able to stand even if the man leaves you, even if you go through a tough time. You're not completely falling apart if you understand your foundation is in the Lord. That's literally how I see it as a woman. And you understand also that being in your femininity is not a weakness. You understand that that is actually a strength. You understand that there is no such thing as toxic masculinity. You appreciate having the presence of a masculine man, and a woman who is more, quote, religious, as you say, or more churchy or knows God. She appreciates and respects having a covering. She appreciates and respects having a masculine man in her life that is able to keep her balanced out so that she can stay in her femininity. She's not fighting against men. And what you see from a lot of non-religious or worldly women is that they're constantly fighting against men. They want to prove to men, I don't need you. I don't want you. I don't need your money. Just do. Feminine women, women who know the Lord, will never ever speak that way, because we love you, but we need that muscle. We need that masculinity. We want that covering. We want you to lead. Being in submission to a godly man is an honor for a true divine feminine woman. So that's the main difference. Worldly women tend to fight against men, while more spiritual women, we embrace having a man, having a covering, masculinity. We love it. We love that because we know what God says about it and we appreciate it. We don't want to get into the shoes of a man. We don't want that for ourselves. We don't want to have to be in charge of the leading and, all these different things. Of course, we are the help meet, as it says in scripture. So we are there to amplify whatever the man is doing. We make things better for him. We make his life better. We can, encourage him and give him wisdom in different areas, because look, God calls wisdom her. Look at the Proverbs 31 woman. Whether she was a real woman or not, or just an example, is an example to women of how to be that kind of godly woman, where she's still able to work with her own hands, but it says her husband was respected in the city gates. A man doesn't get respect unless he's doing something respectable. So, to answer your question, the long way around it, that is the difference. Two differences. You have God, which means you have a foundation so that you can't just be knocked off. Somebody can't get in your ear and just tell you something and you suddenly believe something different about yourself because you know who God says you are. And then we value and love men. We love masculinity. We're not trying to be like you. We want you to be the man. We want to be the woman. I remember one time we were driving, or we were about to drive, and I asked my husband, I said, do you want me to drive? And he said, no, you just be the wife. You just be the woman. And I'm not even going to lie to you. That old deep down masculine way kind of triggered in my head. Said, what do you mean just be the woman? Just be the woman. Just be the wife. What do you mean by that? But then it clicked. He means just be the passenger princess, yelling my order over him so that I can get my coffee when we go to the drive-thru at Dunkin' or the other one. He means be the passenger princess. Just relax. That's what he means. And feminine women love to be that way. When I settled into my femininity and truly stopped like fighting against every little thing with my husband and just let him lead, let him be, and not let as in he needs my permission, but I mean let as in I just relaxed, things got so much better. It's like I didn't have to ask him to do much of anything. He just started doing more things because I was no longer like feeling like I had to be unsure of his manhood, that I had to be like on top of things because I needed control, because I didn't trust him. I didn't trust God. I didn't trust anybody. When I stopped being that way, things got easier. Not easy, like life is never completely easy, but I mean for myself as a woman, I stopped feeling so anxious. I stopped feeling so, overwhelmed by everything. I just let things be, I don't know. I love being a woman now. At one point, I didn't like being a woman because I felt like we always got to do this. We always got to do that, this and that. And if you are a woman who's in a relationship with a man, you should especially, not that you need a man, but you should especially love being a woman, love being in your femininity. Because in that relationship, you can express yourself even more as a woman. That's just my opinion. Absolutely, I agree with all your points. That's just the way I see it. As women, being feminine, being able to be rested and having that covering, Absolutely. Why would you not want that? Like, what woman wants to have to fend for themselves all of the time? And it's not to say that you're running to your man with every little thing. No. Sometimes, my husband, he didn't even know about this YouTube channel until like last month because I'm just doing what I do. Every little thing is not discussed, but you have that freedom when you're just letting your man lead and do what he knows to do, and you're being that nurturer. You're now out of that masculine role, you're not out of that authoritative role, and you're just being that princess, being that girl. Even though you're a full-fledged woman, but you're just being the girl. It's something beautiful about that to me as a woman when you really lean into that. That's just me. Let me look through your comments. I'm sipping coffee and water because coffee can be dehydrating, so I'm sipping my water also. And tell you, just being a woman, and when you really lean into your femininity, you become more self-aware. It's like you really become more... Hi, Shaylin. Welcome to the channel from India. Welcome. Welcome to the channel. Have you joined the membership, ladies? We have an All Things Feminine membership, and I have All Things Woman merchandise in my spread shop, and the book. I suggest that every woman get this book, How to Be a Feminine Woman, the blueprint. If you really want to have guided instruction on how to operate in your femininity in 8 core ways of life, 8 core ways of life. I talk about your career. I talk about relationship. I talk about your style. I talk about etiquette. I talk about how you carry yourself as a woman in the book. I'm going to leave the link in the description below this live, and it's also in the description of the YouTube channel. Get the book, How to Be a Feminine Woman, the blueprint. It is a short, powerful read. I created that book. Actually, it was just a note to myself. And other than the part about the relationship, because I'm already in a relationship, but I created that book because I felt like it would encourage and inspire women to really think about who they want to be as women. Going back to us just kind of coming up and not really understanding the true core essence of womanhood, not understanding that there is a difference between man and woman, that we were not designed to operate in the same way. That's the reason why I created that book, so that women can have a clear understanding of there are different areas that we should really be focused on when it comes to femininity and having feminine wisdom. Yes, Shalini, go ahead and get that book. It's in the description box of this YouTube channel. And then I have merchandise, on my spread shop. I have t-shirts and tank tops. As you might have noticed, I like wearing a lot of tops that are like off the shoulder. So I'll wear things like that. I have those in the spread shop. They have like queen energy on them. Classic, not trendy. Cutesy little shirts with like little donuts and candies and stuff on it. Girly stuff. What you see on this channel, I'm not going to promote something to you that I don't actually identify with myself. I'm more of a girly girl. So when you see me post little things, I post things that are relative to my personality. I'm not in the business of trying to like sell somebody something. I want you to like what I like because I'm excited about it. That's the way I am as a woman. So join our membership so that we can have, private discussions within the YouTube, within the Facebook group. Join. But in this generation, women are more judgmental. Yes, women, men alike, everybody can be judgmental. But I'll say this to you, Shalini, you have to determine for yourself, is somebody judging you, or is it the information they're giving you you're just not ready to hear? Because when somebody is not ready to hear the information given, they always look at it as judgment. I used to be the same way. I feel like I'm being judged. Only God can judge me is what people used to say. Or judge not. Don't the scripture say to judge not? Well, judgment And constructive criticism, somebody actually giving you something that's going to help you and make you think, is not always a judgment. A lot of times things will only feel like a judgment if it's hitting on a point that you feel kind of off about. If it's something that you know you're struggling in and you're not there yet, absolutely you're going to feel judged. So judgment is kind of subjective. Everybody feels judged at some point or another, especially when it's something they're not ready to hear. But everybody casts judgment. Don't let anybody fool you. Everybody casts judgment on people. That's just the way it is. And should you walk around pointing your finger, judging other people? No, I don't do that. In my everyday life, I focus on myself. I don't worry about what anybody else is doing unless somebody asks me. If somebody wants to coach with me, if they want my opinion, if they want to do a call, I judge. You're putting me in the position to scrutinize your situation. But if nobody asks me, I don't worry about that. I focus on my own life. And that's another beautiful thing about leaning into your femininity and truly becoming the kind of woman you want to become, is that you don't really have time to be a busybody in other people's issues and affairs unless they invite you into it. You're not so much concerned about being in the know about other people's problems and issues and all this different stuff. You're focused on your own life. You love other people, you care about other people, but you don't have time to judge anybody else because you're too busy nurturing your own life. My lips are getting dry. Yeah, judging is like far from my mind. Giving critique and, giving critique and, encouraging someone, that's something that we all need from time to time. And that's where that accountability comes in too. Sometimes as women, we have to, just admit, sometimes we don't want to be accountable for certain things. And that's just the way a lot of women are. They don't want to be accountable or held responsible for their own actions, for how they come off, for the reason why things are going a certain way in their life. I love them, but instead of that, in return, I get only hurt. Who are you referring to, Shalini? But yes, as women, we have to be accountable and take responsibility for a lot of what we go through sometimes, because sometimes it's not other people. It's not always other people. Sometimes it's a matter of what we choose. It's a matter of what we allow. Women, I hear a lot of women complain about relationships and complain about the man being a certain way and doing certain things. Well, have you tolerated it? You dealt with it for so long. Why do you think he's acting a certain way or being a certain way? It's because you chose to put up with it. You never had a boundary. And when women don't put boundaries in place, that's when you kind of set yourself up to get hurt. And as a woman, as you get wiser, as you really, get to know God, number one, and then you lean into your femininity and really understand yourself as a woman, there are certain things you will no longer tolerate or want to tolerate. The one thing about being in the femininity, one of many things, you crave peace. You crave peace. You crave that non-drama, drama-free, less stress kind of life. To women who are accustomed to having constant turmoil, chaos, and drama, it might come off as boring. But when you truly lean into your femininity, you want a more simple life. You want a more just simple, easygoing life. You don't want a lot of chaos and drama. You don't want to be around people who are filled with chaos and drama. You don't want to be around people who don't know how to just be at ease and just be. You want to just rest. You don't want to have to play the guessing game of knowing whether or not you're still friends with somebody, or does she really like me, or does he really like me, or I wonder if I said anything to offend them, or if they feel like. You get so far past those kind of things where you now want people in your circle who you can just be yourself with. And that's one of the main things I always thank God for, that he put the people that were around me previously, family and friends alike, I never felt like I could really be myself around them. I felt like I had to try to be what they wanted me to be. I had to try to be this hard, you know, loudmouth kind of woman to kind of fit in with my surroundings. I grew up in New Jersey in what they say is the most dangerous city in America. I grew up in that city, and I was more reserved. I was more soft spoken. And I know some people looking now probably can't believe you're more soft spoken, you're more reserved. Yes, in my everyday life, I am more soft spoken, I am more reserved, I am more to myself. When I was growing up, I was a shy girl. I was shy, I would smile, but I wouldn't say much. I was more of just a listener. I'm very introverted. I am an introverted person. I have extroverted moments where I can be extroverted, but after a while, I just need, I need a breather. I need to just be to myself and enjoy my own company. I'm an introvert mainly. But growing up, I always felt like I needed to force myself to be more extroverted, force myself to be, that girl that's like, ready for anything and, just out and about with the other girls and, doing different things and in boys' faces and, walking up to boys and doing this. I felt like I needed to have to, I had to try to be that way, but that wasn't me. And because of that, I had girls tell me, they wanted to try to start fights with me. They wanted to tell me, oh, you think you're better than us. Oh, you're conceited. Oh, who she thinks she is, walking into a room and hearing the little whispers and the small talks. And, I dealt with all of that stuff growing up because I was quiet. I was truly the quiet girl. And I made a video earlier on in this channel that says the quiet one. I'm going to link the description to that video in the box in the description here. But that me saying that was really true to who I am, who I was, and who I kind of still am now. I was the quiet girl. And because of that, yeah, people said, you think you're better than us? I had a whole group of girls who wanted to fight me. And thank God, God sends you protection and help when your time of need, because I was walking and I saw them on the porch and I already knew what it was, and I was preparing my mind and, trying to get myself as hype as I could. And these other people from around the corner, they already knew, and they was right there ready to defend me. People that I didn't even know liked me. And I'm like, okay, they were there to help me and defend me. And I think I was like around 13 or 14 when this was all happening. When I turned 17, that's when I kind of came out of my shell a little bit. And I didn't really, I still was very soft-spoken, still reserved. But that's when that kind of masculine guard kind of went up, where I was still not the girl that was, doing all these different things. But I had that don't try me mentality. It went from being that reserved and shy to being quiet and reserved, but also don't try me. That I went to that. And as a woman, a young woman, growing up in what people say are the hood, I had to have that rough exterior in order to protect myself. And let's be honest, even when you lean into your femininity, if you came from a certain place, I'm more refined, but I still very much understand time and place. And, I don't carry myself in that way. I smile a lot and I love it. God made me that way. But I still am not the woman that's going to let somebody just get over on me. Being feminine doesn't mean you suddenly become a doormat for everybody. But earlier on, when I was in my teen years and early 20s, I was very much a doormat for people. I was very much a woman that, a young girl that was reserved, but I also had that masculine posture. And that was just a defense mechanism because I didn't want people to bother me. But now, as I've grown as a woman, I realize no more trying to be anything other than what I am. I am an introvert. I am a woman that has opinions, that has knowledge. I am a woman who loves girly things. I love tea. I love blankets. I love candles. I love talking about the different types of essential oils and teas. I love beauty and fashion. I love hair. I love all of these girly things. I love autumn and fall. I just picked up some autumn decor Yes, we're in the beginning of July and I just picked up autumn decor because I love those type of things. Like no more putting my girly girl side away in order to try to just be the typical, way that people say I should be. Even when I first started at my employment now, I was very quiet because as an introvert, if you are an introvert, you understand that we don't just automatically start talking. We don't just automatically warm up to people. We have to get to know you before we determine whether or not we're going to let you in or get that close to you. We have to know what we're dealing with, who and what we're dealing with. So for like the first 5 or 6 months of me working at my employer, I was very quiet. I said what needed to be said. I asked questions and left it at that. But as time went on, I started opening up more, showing my more goofy, outgoing, a little bit side, talking about the girly things. And even still, I know some of my coworkers look at me like, oh, girl, please. When I tell them I'm a pescatarian, which I was for a while, where I only ate fish and I eat shrimp sometimes, but, I'll eat mainly seafood. But I've since incorporated a little bit more chicken into my diet because I felt a little lethargic. So I would eat chicken, like I'll eat chicken like maybe once a week or so, if that, depending on how I feel. But even those kind of things, as a black woman, when you speak that way and say that you have that kind of lifestyle and you carry yourself that way, people will look at you as if you're bougie, as if you're doing too much. Who do you think you are? All because you dare to be different, as the commercial used to say. And there's nothing wrong with that. I give you that long drawn out story to say that when you truly lean into your femininity and who you are as a woman, you really don't care if you're perceived as corny or pick me, these new phrases they have, or whatever else people might want to say about you. You live more authentic to who you are as a woman. I used to try to be, more loud, like obnoxious, like when I talk. I used to try to be, doing all like that when I talk and stuff. And I'm not saying that if I get highly upset with somebody that I'm not, like, don't, but overall in how I carry myself and how I speak, I'm not doing all of that. I'm not the woman that's yelling out the window down the street to somebody like, come here, hey, come. Like, I'm not doing all of that. If I can't catch up with you and say, excuse me, to get your attention, I'm just going to let you walk by me and I'll try to see if I see you another time or text you or something. Like, I'm not that kind of woman. I'm not like the for your entertainment woman. I'm not the kind of black woman they say that makes everybody laugh and, I'm the entertainment. Like, I'm not for your entertainment value. And I think, little sidebar, as women, especially black women, when you are more reserved, when you're more introverted, when you are not constantly making a show of yourself, they look at you as if you are bougie and not the typical black woman. And I'm not loud and obnoxious. I'm not, hey girl, like I'm not that. And I'm not saying if that's your natural personality, that's fine. But I'm not that. And it took me, I give you the story to tell you, it took me a while to be comfortable with understanding that I'm not that kind of woman. I'm not that kind of black woman. I'm just not. I'm sorry. And I believe I disappointed a lot of my family because I was never that type of black woman. I was never the one that, I get around you and I'm just telling you all of my business. Like, I'm more reserved. I'm more private. And I think there's something about being a private, mysterious woman. When you are leaning into your femininity, you want to have a little mystery about yourself. You don't want to be the type of woman that has diarrhea of the mouth, where you're just telling everybody everything. Like, there's nothing becoming or ladylike or feminine about being a woman that just tells all of her business. Like, I'm telling you all some things because this is YouTube. We're building a community here. But even still, you don't know a whole lot about me and you never will. Because it's just, as women, we have to keep feminine mystery. Let me read some of your comments. Are you vegan? For a little while, I was vegetarian. For me, being vegan is just too much. And then even when I saw like a lot of the prepackaged foods for vegans, they're still fully like high of like additives and a lot of citric acids and all this different stuff, like a lot of stuff that I really just can't tolerate. and they're still high in fat, high in calories, high in sugar. A lot of the prepackaged vegan foods, they're still like, you might as well just eat like a regular sandwich because they still have the same calorie count when you add in all of the additives. So I'm not a vegan. I like to eat more whole foods. So I'll eat like sweet potatoes and kale, and like I'll eat like regular like not complex carbs. I eat more complex carbs like brown rice and wild rice. I eat some white rice, but I eat more whole foods pretty much. I'm not going to go through the list of my entire diet. Maybe I'll do another video about that as far as like femininity and lifestyle and just how you eat. I do, I eat mainly salmon. I eat shrimp. Um, yeah, I eat salmon, shrimp, a little bit of chicken. I eat, when I do get the prepackaged vegan foods, I'll get the Impossible Burgers. That's the only prepackaged vegan food that I'll get is the Impossible Burgers, because I do like those because they taste kind of like real meat. I do not eat beef at all. Beef takes too long to digest. So I stopped eating beef like 3 years ago. Pork, I really don't like pork like that either. I used to eat like the pork. Okay, I'll say this. It's not that I don't like the taste of some pork, because I don't like pork chops, but ribs at the barbecue, ribs are good. When it's falling off the bone, look, it's good. But I haven't had that in a long time. I haven't had that in a long time because it's just not good for my body. It's not a religious thing. It's not a spiritual thing. I just don't care for it like that. So I'll eat fish. I'll eat tuna. I'll eat salmon, shrimp. That's about it. My diet, the things I eat when I do eat, is very bland. Like, I don't really eat a lot of heavy seasoned stuff, and it's because I deal with a little bit of reflux. So dealing with reflux, you really can't eat a whole lot of heavily seasoned things. If you don't want to trigger the reflux, once in a while you can have something, but then you got to take an antacid or you got to take some kind of PPI. And I didn't want to go through all of that. It's just easier for me to eat more of a whole food diet. So, is this Yolanda Adams? Oh my goodness. You're so sweet. Yolanda Adams is beautiful. So I'll take that compliment. Love from India. I'm going to be your new YouTube family. Welcome to the family, Shalini. Welcome. And get the book. Join the membership. And I'm going to be trying to go live more often because I feel like this is when we can get really connected and really a get to know me type of video. While my YouTube videos, they're a lot more topical. I talk about specific topics. But I think with the lives, I'm able to really get to know you all, and you're able to get to know me more. And I can talk about many different topics, things that I might not get to talk about in the videos because, when you're just having a conversation, you're able to just flow and just be. So, can I be your sugar? Keldrick, you were doing good. Don't mess it up. Don't mess it up, Mr. Foster Jr. You're doing really good. But as women, back to the original point, authenticity. And that's what I was getting at when I gave you the story about me just really embracing who I am as a woman and realizing that, I'm not that really hyper extroverted type of woman. I'm not the woman that's going to be, yelling down the street for somebody. I'm just not that. And my interests are different than what a lot of people say they should be. I'll give you this story. I remember one time on Facebook, one of my quote Facebook friends, somebody I went to school with, she said she was having a hard day. She needed to unwind and all this kind of stuff. And I typed my little, feminine self. I typed in the comments, you should make some chamomile tea and then check out this body wash from Bath and Body Works called Stress Relief. I'm giving her a holistic package of how to unwind and relax for the day. But because me and her are not on the same page as far as femininity wise, she put back a whole lot of laughing emojis, and one of her other friends commented, said, T, ha ha, lol, lol, lol. Said you need to smoke whatever and, some alcohol and all that kind of stuff they put in there. So pretty much the answer I gave was a little bit too womanly, a little too feminine, a little too nerd-like. They couldn't accept something like that because that's not what they're used to women of my kind saying. I would tell you something along the lines, go and get drunk. which is not what I'm offering you to do. Again, it's just that authenticity. When you are truly being authentic to who you are, you'll really see that you don't vibe with everybody, and that's okay. You become more selective in the type of people you choose to be around, and you really understand who is your tribe, who's for you, who's against you, who's really like on your side, and who you click with and who you don't. I know for me, I click with the women who are more girly girls. And I relate and click with the women who are in relationships a lot more because we have that commonality, as in we know what it's like to just be the girl in our relationships. We know what it's like, dealing with a man of God and how they are. Finding your feminine tribe, which is the point, is absolutely very important as a woman. When you really begin to lean back and embrace your authenticity, your tribe will find you. The girlies who like tea, the girlies who like relaxation, the girlies who like, old school R&B and Tony Braxton, which I absolutely love. Your tribe will find you. So as women, I say that to say being authentic is another trait of being a feminine woman. When you can truly be authentic to who you are as a woman, that's when you begin to really build and nurture true friendships. But as long as you're trying to be a woman who's trying to fit in with what people say you should be, you're not going to really find true lasting friendship. You find true lasting friendship when you are a woman who is able to embrace herself, and then other people embrace you also. Being real, people embrace that. Being relatable, not relatable in the sense that you have to embrace struggle. I'm not saying relatable in that way. I'm saying relatable in the sense that you are a woman who's being true to herself. People will embrace you. Women and men alike. You'll really start building real bonds with people when you share spirituality. You guys connect on the same time there. When you all, you like the same kind of fashion, or you just have the same kind of way of thinking about life and relationships. When a woman who is in her femininity really says to herself, you know what? I don't hate men. They want me to hate men, but I don't hate men. I want a man. I'm single, but I do want to be in a relationship. I want to be married one day. When you are that type of woman, if you desire that, you don't have to, but if you desire that, you'll be surprised at the type of women you begin to attract to you. You begin to attract women who are not full of chaos, women who are not full of, backbiting and jealousy and envy. They're more, girlhood oriented, more womanhood oriented. They start complimenting you. You can tell when you're really amongst a kind of a real sisterhood because they're embracing you, they're complimenting you, they're helping you and encouraging you to be cute, to be your corny little self. If you're talking about tea and, all these dainty things, if you're around other women that actually are intrigued by that and they're like wanting you to talk about those things, they're learning from you and you're learning from them, that's when you can tell you're really amongst your sisterhood. How you feel about obese women? Keldrick, why are you doing that? Asking me about obese women. What about obese women? What are you getting at? What do you want me to say, sir? Bye, because in India, it is going to be sleeping time. See you tomorrow. Good night, Shalini. I appreciate you being here all the way from India. And don't forget to get the book. Look in the description, all right? I appreciate you. Are they lazy? Do I think obese women are lazy? Absolutely not. Do I think being obese is something you should aim toward? Absolutely not. Do I think that obesity happens for numerous reasons? Absolutely I do. But to that and to the femininity point, you're so kind, Shalini. You're welcome. Thank you for being here. To your point, as far as obesity goes, and thank you for bringing up that topic, because as women, when it comes to our weight and our body image is important for a woman. No, you do not have to be skinny in order to be seen as feminine or to carry yourself in a feminine way. I think this fake body positivity and these Beauty standards that are superficial at most have caused women to feel like if they don't fit a certain aesthetic, they are not feminine. But as a woman, you can be feminine if you weigh 200 pounds or if you weigh 115 pounds. You can still be seen as a feminine woman because it's not about how you look, it's about your mindset and how you carry yourself as a woman. However, when a woman truly connects to her femininity and she loves and values herself as a woman, she wants to be at her optimal health, meaning she's going to pay attention to her body, her wellness, her mental and physical body. She's going to pay attention to all of that. So when a woman is truly in her femininity, and if she has control over her body image, meaning she doesn't have any underlying medical issues that are contributing to her weight gain and her obesity. If she doesn't have those kind of issues and she's able to lose weight, more times than not, a woman who is connected to her femininity, she will take the time to be her most healthy self. And that's not to say that you have to get down to being a stick figure if you are not naturally skinny. I'm not naturally skinny. I When I was younger, I always was around the 130 mark. I'm not going to tell you exactly how much I weigh right now, but I'm not that far away from the 130 mark right now. I'm not as close as I used to be, but I'm not as far away from that 130 mark as I used to be. But as feminine women, you will concentrate on your body image. You will concentrate on your health and fitness. You will make it a priority to work out, to move your body in some way. As women, we move our bodies. As feminine women, just because we're not ratchet, we're not ghetto, we're not out, twerking and tweaking everywhere, all over the neighborhood and on tables, that doesn't mean that we don't focus on our physical movement and our fitness. I go to the gym, and when I don't go to the gym, I have dumbbells and I have a spin bike inside of my basement. I get on that and I ride that spin bike for like a half an hour, and I'll go down there and I use my dumbbells and I do, body weight, exercises. I think they call it calisthenics. I do all of that because I want to remain healthy. I want to remain relatively fit. I want to feel good in my skin. And moving my body and working out helps me to do that. So as feminine women, I think if you are truly connected to your femininity, you will not allow your health and your body image or your weight to get out of whack. Now, I understand in different cultures, such as Black culture, we tend to glorify women being overweight, women looking sloppy. And just because you're a bigger woman, that doesn't mean you have to look sloppy. Because some women, their natural built is to be, they're just bigger in stature. That's just how they're built. But they're not sloppy, they're not obese. They're put together well and they carry it well. You can be a thicker woman, but it's all in how you carry it. But I do believe that women should aspire to have a healthy body weight and move your body. Stay active so that you're not stiff. To be a feminine woman and to be stiff, we have to remain flexible for obvious reasons. And not just for that, but because you want to have good flexibility. As a woman, you should want that for yourself. So, no, I don't really think much about obese women. I think that if they have the power to control their body, their weight, they should. If you want to be perceived as feminine, you don't necessarily have to be skinny or be smaller. But let's speak about superficiality for a moment. Because while we should not judge people based on how they look, the world does judge people based on how they look. And I will say that the smaller a woman is, people tend to treat her a little bit more gentler, a little bit more softer, the smaller a woman is. When a woman carries a lot of weight on her unnecessarily and she's more masculine, you kind of give off that provider protector type of way of being, like you don't really need protecting. But if you are a bigger woman and you know how to still be feminine and soft and warm and dainty, and you know how to carry yourself as a woman, you can still be perceived as feminine even if you are a bigger woman. But yes, I think women should be focused on their body image and their weight. Being a feminine woman, why would you not want to do that? You want to be the best version of yourself. Focus on your skincare, focus on your hair care. As women, these are not chores for us. When you lean into your femininity, focusing on your wellness, your physical, mental wellness, focusing on your aesthetic and how you look, that's not a chore for us as women. So I hope I answer your question. If you don't know now, I go the long way around things sometimes. Is it okay for a woman to sit around on her off days from work and not shower during those days? I think that question is pretty much self-explanatory. Is it okay for a woman to sit around on her off days from work and not shower during those days? My opinion, no. Why would a woman want to sit around in her own filth all day long? You wake up in the morning, even if you're not going anywhere. And I was taught this just from observation from the women that I got around, that just because you're not going anywhere, you really do have to stay ready so that you don't have to get ready. And what that means, if you don't know, is that you never know when, your husband, my husband might call me right now. He's about to get off work. He might call me right now and say, hey, you want to go out to dinner? You want to run out here or there? Well, I should be dressed in a way that I just only need a little sprucing up a little bit and I'm ready to go. But I don't ever want my husband to see me the same way he left me in the morning is the same way I look when he comes home. Like, to me, that's just not a good look for a woman. And you're not doing it for a man. It's just for yourself too. It makes you feel good when you get up and get cute, even if you're not going anywhere. And this is something that I taught my daughter a year and a half back. And she's like, okay, she's 17 now. And she now gets it. She wakes up, she got her smell good. I'll come in the hallway and it smells like coconuts and cake and frosting, all these beautiful smells wafling through the hallway because she got up and got herself together. And that's the way it's supposed to be for a feminine woman. You take time to keep yourself together. Even if you're not going anywhere, if you're not leaving the house, you should have still showered, put on some nice lounge clothes or around the house dress, which is still nice. I have my around the house dresses and I have my going out dresses. And you wear those, you smell good, you look good, have your hair relatively done, or if you have a beautiful head wrap on, just still look a little put together and smell good. Ladies, we should not be walking around smelling like yesterday or smelling like sweat. You sweat throughout the day. You sweat throughout the night. Even if you have an air conditioner, even if you go to bed wearing deodorant, which you should not, you still can wake up smelling like sweat. Must wash your body. As feminine women, we don't just sit around looking like anything. For me, before my husband comes home, if I've been cooking or something, or I was cleaning a little bit, I don't want to smell like Lysol or Pine Slaw or whatever else I'm using. I don't want to smell like the food I just cooked. I want him to smell the food in the house, but I don't want to smell like the food. So I'll take a shower real quick before he comes home and spruce myself up. Like, I'm about to get off of here in a few, and I'm going to spruce myself up a little bit more and smell fresh for my man. Because as feminine women, that's just what you should really want. You should want to feel flowy and feel good. And you can't, for me, I can't feel that way if I can't even fully feel awake if I don't take a shower when I wake up in the morning. I'm not saying the first thing when you wake up in the morning if you're not going anywhere, because for me, I'll wake up on the days where I'm not going anywhere. I'll wake up in the morning. I'll make sure I have my time with God, look on my phone. I might go downstairs and make me some tea or some coffee, and then I'll come upstairs and I'll get ready for the day, even if I'm not going anywhere, even if I'm just, getting on here, or if I'm going to be working on my Etsy shop, or if I'm just going to be, just sitting around the house. I still make sure I take a shower, exfoliate my skin, put on my smell goods, make sure my hair is done, and go about my day. It just makes you feel more womanly when you give thought to how you look and how you feel and how you smell. For the life of me, I don't understand how women go out with pajamas on. I know that's a long running thing, but it's like, for a woman to go out the house with pajamas, The only way I would run out the house with pajamas on is if it was in the middle of the night and it was an emergency pertaining to my children. If I needed to get to my children really fast, if there was a straight emergency, 3 a.m., I'm hopped out the bed and hopped right in the car. Absolutely. That's the only way that I would be caught outside with anything resembling pajamas. As feminine women, we don't do that. We don't walk outside with pajamas on. Even when I wasn't that connected to my femininity, I would not walk out with pajamas on. It just makes you feel, I mean, for me, it would make me feel dirty. I mean, to think that you go to bed with pajamas and then you go out the door into a store with pajamas, like you're going into a store environment. So, there's dust and there's products and there's other people. It's just, for me, that's just, I can't do it. I can't do that. If one of your coworkers flirt with you knowing you're married, what would you do? If one of your coworkers flirt with you knowing you're married, what would you do? Well, what I would not do is, I'm married. Why are you talking to me like that? I'm married. Don't talk to me that way. I wouldn't do that because that's not necessary. What I would do, depending on what they're saying, because this has happened. It's happened. It happens. And a lot of times I'll tell my husband about what happens. Either I smile. I'll give you a real experience. This was like in March or April. This guy that he works in the same place where I work, but he's in a different department or whatever. He walked by and he blew a kiss at me. He walked by and blew a kiss at me. And I just looked at him like, and he's like, "You're not going to catch it?" And I just kept looking at him like, he's like, all right. And walked away. So you can reject somebody without being mean, without acting like you are like a prude. Like, I'm a woman and I'm confident. I'm not cocky. I'm confident. And I know that, I'm not bad looking. I don't think I'm bad looking. And with me knowing that, I understand that men will flirt. And my husband knows men will flirt. I don't reciprocate that. I don't flirt back with them. But you can appreciate a compliment. You can appreciate somebody admiring you without giving the impression that you are attracted to them or that you want to be in a relationship with them. There is a way to do that as a feminine woman. I live in the city and people drive past down this street like it's a drag strip, but like it's a racetrack. But okay, as I was saying, there's a way that you can still be kind and reject a man at the same time. Men flirt with me often. I don't reciprocate it. I'll smile or I act like I don't hear you, or I'll just let you talk while looking at you like you're crazy. But I don't reciprocate it out of respect for my husband. I love my husband. I have no reason to want anybody else. So I hope that answered your question. Yeah, I don't like say, "What are you looking at?" I don't do all of that. I'm a woman. And as a feminine woman, when you understand that you are going to be appealing to men, it just comes with the feminine territory. You let them have their moment as long as they're not saying anything derogatory. Now, if somebody is saying something derogatory to you, you shut it down. Because I've had men say derogatory things to me. And I've said, "Don't talk to me like that." Like, don't talk to me like that, please. Don't use disgusting, vile language when you talk to me. But if you're just saying things like, "Can you have a friend? Can I be a sugar daddy?" like you just said, you don't have to be mean. You can just disregard it and let it go as a woman. So that's what I do. Do you think your husband have work girlfriends? No, he does not, because half of his coworkers are over the age of 50. Not that that means anything. I know that. But my husband is not that type of guy. I don't worry about stuff like that. I just don't. Do you think your husband have work girlfriends? Nope. No, I do not. These questions are funny. Keep them coming. Yeah, as feminine women, we can shut men down while still remaining feminine and gracious. Again, if somebody's saying something derogatory to you, oh no, you shut that down right away. You don't even give the impression that you're okay with it. Like when a man curses too much in my presence, I'll make sure I look at him. Like, I don't really have that often because I give off the vibe that you shouldn't curse around me. Actually, it's the opposite for me. When men are doing too much cursing, they always apologize and say, oh, sis, I'm sorry about that. That's normally what I get when men slip up and cuss. But even like when I'm working, the guest, they'll cuss when they're speaking, and it's like I'll look at them like, and he's the person, either they'll keep going or they'll say, I apologize, it's not you. you know, like I don't know. The way you carry yourself as a woman, a lot of times, will reflect what you get from other people. Sometimes people are just the way they are, sometimes men just the way they are, but yeah, the way you carry yourself as a woman has a lot to do with the kind of treatment you get a lot of times. Not all the time, but a lot of time. How do you feel about a man that comes home and play the video game instead of being romantic? Earlier on in my marriage, before me and my husband got married and right after, my husband used to be that guy. He used to unwind by getting on the video game and just playing, creating characters, doing whatever he's doing for hours on end. And I used to get on him about it and say things, and it didn't help. And he would just keep doing what he's doing. That was his outlet. You know what changed that? I got an outlet. I stopped letting him think that I could only be entertained when he is available to entertain me. I stopped giving the impression that I needed his undivided attention all the time. I stopped being so needy. And the moment I stopped being that way, suddenly he's not on the video game as much. Now that's been about 17, 16 years ago. My husband's not really into the video game that much anymore. And when he does play it, it's like for a millisecond and that's it. Like, he does other things. But my husband used to be very much into games, like as in playing them a lot. But once I got busy doing my own things, I could care less. So I let him have his outlet. I'd rather him be on the video games, playing video games, than out playing with somebody else. Okay? I hope that answered the question. The coffee is cold. And I'm getting a little bit hungry. I'm not answering every question you have, and I don't eat neither one of those. My husband likes oxtails. I would really like to answer some questions from some women. As much as I appreciate Mr. Keldrick, I hope you left a super thanks. All these questions you're asking me, sir. But I would really like to answer some questions from some women. Well, how are you all liking the channel? Like, what topics are you seeing that I've been covering that you really like, more or less? You know, what topics do you want to see more of? What do you want to see less of? You know, what do you think? This really was supposed to be like a Q&A, but you know, I always like to offer little gems as I go along. But ladies, I would really like to know, like, what topics are you really liking on this channel? What are you really into? What do you want to hear more about? And again, on this channel, it's not so much about superficial things. It's more of a holistic femininity, as I say, because we deal with the mind, the body, and the spirit. So we deal with transforming you from the inside out. That's what I do on this channel. I'm a thought leader in that way, if you want to say. I try to get you to think differently about womanhood, differently about what it means to be a feminine woman, to not just let your mere existence be all about aesthetics. That's what we talk about here on this channel. What am I doing today? Excuse me. What am I doing today? After I get off this live, I would like to say resting, but I'll probably be on my phone working on something because my mind is just so creative. I like to do and grab at different ideas. I tell you, it's something when you are more rested as a woman, when you're not allowing the world to pull you every which way, that's when all like your creativity kicks in. Like when you really lean into your femininity, like you get a lot more creative. What do you mean by how you carry yourself, please? So when I say how a woman carries herself, I'm talking about your overall posture, your demeanor, and your standard as a woman. What things do you find acceptable for yourself and those around you? What standard do you have for yourself? When I say carry yourself, are you walking around looking mean all the time? Are you being mean to other people? Are you nasty and rude in speech? Do you have a nasty demeanor? Do you know how to lighten up and just be free flowing and be like soft and warm and inviting? Do you know how to be just a kind and gentle woman? Some women carry themselves like they have a chip on their shoulder all the time. And if you don't know what that means, it means you carry yourself as if you have something wrong with you all the time. You don't make people want to come to you. You make people want to run away from you. So when I say how you carry yourself as a woman, how are you as a person? Do you have a kind and gentle spirit? Do you have a quiet and gentle spirit? Are you obnoxious? Are you problematic? Do you like to cause and stir up drama, or do you prefer peace? Are you more apt to make friends, or do you have trust issues when it comes to women, when it comes to men? All of those type of things will determine how you carry yourself as a woman. Do you know God? Do you have a moral compass? Do you have morals, standards, and just good old common sense? That will determine the type of things you do as a woman. If you have morals, if you have standards, if you value your body, then you don't carry yourself as a woman who will just like whoever likes her or entertain whoever wants to entertain her. You won't sleep with whoever's available. You have a standard as a woman. That's what I mean by how do you carry yourself? Who are you as a woman? What energy do you carry? What spirit do you operate in? Are you a decent woman? Are you a woman that cares about other people, or do you only care about yourself and what you can get from somebody else? Do you have class and grace? Do you understand time and place? Do you understand that just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should? Do you understand that? These are all traits of a woman that knows how to carry herself well as a feminine woman. But when a woman doesn't know how to carry herself, she is easily swayed by culture. She goes along to get along. She's just trying to fit in. But when you are a woman that knows how to carry herself in a way that is classy, that you have sophistication, some level of sophistication. I'm not saying that you're speaking prim and proper all the time and you're walking around with your pinky up and you have a top hat and a monocle. I'm not saying like that. I'm just saying you have common decency and you respect yourself and you carry yourself like you respect yourself and other people. I hope that answers the question as to what I mean by how you carry yourself as a woman. See, what's being taught today, especially with the younger generation, we're being taught to teach our kids that you go and get all the education, you go and do all these different things, but we're not teaching them morals and standards and values. We're teaching the younger women to be the boss bae, to be the boss woman, to do this, to do that, but to not have a standard of excellence for herself, as in carry yourself as a woman of class and grace. We're not even teaching kids manners anymore. Please and thank you, yes and no. You know, simple things that I grew up with, a lot of the young ladies don't know that. They're just like, they don't respond. They don't say thank you when somebody opens the door for them. You can do something nice for them and they're like, and moving on. Like simple things like that. Manners, class, decorum. That word class and decorum is thrown all over the internet and nobody really understands what it means. To have class and decorum is to be a woman, to be a person, because this applies to men too, But for women to really know how to be kind and gentle, and even when you don't like something, even when somebody irritated you to no end, even when somebody bothered you, even when you're in a situation you don't like, of course, you're going to have anger, you're going to feel frustration, you're going to be upset. But that doesn't mean, okay, well, he slept with somebody else, I'm going to sleep with somebody too. You value your body. You'll leave the dusty and move on. You're not just going to have a quick get back. Feminine women don't think that way, because we know that connecting to a man physically in that intimate way, that's spirit. That's your body. You're not just inviting anything into your body to get back at some bum. You're not doing that. Class, decorum. He did you wrong, you get rid of him. Period. You're not going to, okay, well, you cheated, I'm going to just cheat real quick. Feminine women don't even think that way. We're going to invite another man, and that's our body. We value our bodies. How you carry yourself. If a rich guy offered you a date for $100,000, would you go on the date? No, I would not. Because I am married. If anything, I'll come home and tell my husband this guy offered me $100,000 to go on a date with him. And I said no because I love you. And my husband will probably look at me like, okay. We'll have a quick laugh about it. And that'll be that. These scenarios you're coming up with, sir, I think you're just sitting here thinking of things. But yes, to your question, Eva, we have a standard. And when you don't have a standard, you don't know how to carry yourself. You'll think any and everything is acceptable. I heard somebody refer to what I'm saying and how I'm talking as respectability politics. As if respecting yourself is some kind of new way of being. And I know, unfortunately, for many women, the notion of respecting yourself to the point where you make decisions that actually show that you value and love yourself, I know that's different for many women. You're no longer like digging at the bottom of the barrel trying to thumb through everybody's leftovers. Like, you know that you're worthy of something that's just your own. Like, you can have a man that's just your own if you just stop trying to like be with what looks good and just follow what everybody else is doing and just focus on yourself. I think if a lot more women became beautiful and developed themselves before they even focused on a man, a lot of the kind of ways of being we have right now with women, it wouldn't be. This whole rich baby daddy, my rich baby daddy, I think Sexy Red or whatever, like she's in a league of her own. But I know coming up, because I was a 90s kid, so we had Little Kim, we had Foxy Brown, all of them, and they had their issues too. But this new thing, it's like more like blunt in your face. I mean, women are describing their body parts to the T, the inside of their body parts. I'm just like, why? Like, men used to imagine that kind of stuff, and now you're just telling them what it does, what it look like just describe. Is so vulgar. Like, that's not sexual or appealing. That's just vulgar. It's just, as feminine women, we just don't. You roll 100. There's not too many women out here like you. LOL. And I don't put myself on a pedestal at all. I don't put myself on a pedestal, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I am the standard of excellence for women. I am not. I have my moments, but none of them involve that kind of thing. No. I get frustrated. I'll give you a real story. Quick story, and then I'm going to get up off of here. But when we just this past weekend, or 4th of July weekend, we went to the beach, and I could not find my husband and kids. I walked away for a moment because I wanted to get me a nice little drink, and I could not find my husband and kids. The beach was filled with a bunch of people, and I called my husband saying, I can't find you. Where are you? Like, where are you and the kids? I can't find y'all. And he's like, hold on a minute. I thought he was going to walk away from the kids to come find me. Mind you, it was a whole swarm of people on the beach. So if I couldn't find him, the idea of him leaving the kids to come find me, that terrified me. So I yelled at him on the phone and said, no, don't leave them. What are you doing? Don't leave them. I raised my voice at him, sure did on the phone, said, don't leave them. He said, hey, calm down, calm down. I said, no, you're going to leave the kids. Like, why would you leave the kids? Da, 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 da. So, needless to say, when everybody found their way back to each other, it was a little tense. We were sitting on the beach. Everybody's face was balled up. We were all upset and frustrated and angry because I was angry at him for him even attempting to leave our children to come find me. I'm like, you see all these people? If I got lost on my own, why would you even think to leave the kids to come find me? Now it's going to be me and you not being able to find our children. So that was a heated discussion we had, because I lost my temper. And of course, a man, they don't think about what you're saying, not the logic. They just hear the tone. He said, you're not going to talk. Don't talk to me like that. And I said, I didn't want to talk to you like that. I didn't mean to talk to you like that. But you have to understand, I was lost. So we had, look, I'm not perfect. He was about to leave me and leave my kids on the beach to come find me. Yeah, I raised my voice and was upset. And we had a heated discussion. You're not going to talk to me that way. I didn't mean to talk to you that way, but you can't leave the kids. Use common sense. Da, 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 da. And then it was a quiet ride home. It was a quiet ride home. But we came home, and he said, I understand what you're saying, And I said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to yell at you. I was scared. I was scared. I told him, I was scared. If you leave me, and then you would have, we'd have been looking for the kids, like that's scary. Like, you do understand that. After we had that discussion, we're now home, away from the ghetto beach, eating ice cream, watching the nightly news, kids in their rooms doing what they're doing, and everything is new again, okay? So I have my moments, okay? But it was extreme. He was really about to leave the kids on the beach with all them people. I'm just like, Lord, make it make sense. But anyway, it's 3 o'clock, and my man is about to come home soon. So I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you for watching this long live. I'm going to try to get on here more often. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. So thank you so much. But how can men tell you value yourself on first meeting? Is it something they look for? See, Eva, what you're doing, you're placing your value on what a man says. And you should not be doing that. You have to value yourself. You don't carry yourself in a certain way for a man. You carry yourself in a certain way for yourself. That's what you do. But I'm going to do another live in regards to that. And then also I'm going to put a community post up in regards to some of the things that I was talking about here. And there's a lot more stuff to come with this channel. Just keep watching. Leave super chat and thanks if you want to. I appreciate you all for these, listening to me. And I just like to offer what I know. Greetings from New Mexico. Love your advice. Thank you for being here, Charlotte. I appreciate you. And yeah, my man's coming home soon. So let me go freshen up. And you all have a wonderful rest of your evening. Take care.